Now at 6, final farewell.
God knew we needed a hero, and he gave us one.
Family, friends, and partners in blue pay their respects to a Cleveland police detective who lost his life in the line of duty. Also, remembering 9/11. Ceremonies across the country today to honor those who died in the worst terror attack in our nation's history. About face, why the newly named Ohio Director of Health decided hours later not to take the job. And 88 counties in 88 days, the magic of Friday Night Lights. How members of the Ashland High School football team are just grateful to be able to play the game they love during this pandemic.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Mitchell.
And I'm Laura Queso. Today, a somber day on the streets of Cleveland. The funeral for Cleveland Police Detective James Skrnowicz was held today. The procession carrying his casket started in Middleburg Heights and made its way to downtown Cleveland.
Family, friends, and his brothers and sisters in blue then gathered inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to remember his life and service. We have team coverage on today's service, and we begin with how those who knew the detective best honored him today. Here's Mark Namick.
They came by the hundreds. Officers from Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and beyond, dressed in ceremonial uniforms reserved for the best and worst of times in their careers.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God.
Officials in dark suits, including U.S. Attorney General William Barr, powerless to change time, but with the power to remind the public of sacrifice.
It's the courage we saw 19 years ago on September 11th, when officers responded to the attack on the World Trade Center. And Jim had that courage.
And the family and friends of James Skrnowicz, wearing their grief and pride for a man simply known as Skern, dedicated to arresting violent criminals but taken by violence, shot to death while working undercover.
God knew we needed a hero.
Skrnowicz's wife, Kristen, her words read by others, her anger over the shooting death eased by the fellowship of officers.
My healing began the moment I entered the doors at Metro and saw the halls already lined by his CPD brothers and sisters, first responders, and hospital staff, knowing they were witnessing the most evil moment each of us hoped never to experience.
He was a prankster who loved heavy metal music, softball, and watching sports, and a humble and loving father, one who never wanted to be held up for his dedication. Serving his community was enough.
At home, he was just dad. No frills, no fanfare, no stress. So here we are today, celebrating the hero he never wanted to be, but I always knew he was.
The widow of Detective Skrnowicz also acknowledged the other man who died alongside her husband, Scott Dinges, who was believed to be an informant. And in a separate incident, Officer Nick Szabo, who died by suicide. She said they are all connected through tragedy and violence and wish their families peace. It was a real powerful moment in an already powerful ceremony. Russ?
Wow, I can imagine. Mark Namick, thank you.
Hundreds in our community paid respects to Detective Skrnowicz today, watching as a procession entered Cleveland. Brandon Simmons now with that part of the story.
It's amazing. It's overwhelming. It's just amazing the support that the police get and that they should get.
As the procession for fallen officer James Skrnowicz left Middleburg Heights headed for downtown Cleveland, it was clear even amid coronavirus, the community wanted to show their support along the way. Bob Vatruba was one of them.
How could I not come down here?
The sign he holds sends a simple yet powerful message. Thank you, heroes. Referencing not just the Skrnowicz family, but all officers who put their lives on the line each day.
Someone seeing a sign, it can make all the difference in the world to a person who might be having a hard time.
Today indeed is difficult for loved ones and comrades, as laying a father, friend, and brother in blue to rest is never easy. But having complete strangers in the community by your side can certainly help ease the pain. I'm Brandon Simmons, 3 News.
Also, today marks 19 years since the September 11th terrorist attacks in New York, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Another year, but the horror of that day and the pain are still here. In Lower Manhattan, a city which promised to never forget, paused to remember. Keeping alive the memories of the nearly 3,000 who died in the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. The heroic rescuers who died trying to save them, and those who have passed in the years since from exposure to the toxic chemicals that engulfed the area for months.
Michael Rourke Andrews.
But this year, the remembrances are different. COVID-19 forcing crowd sizes to be limited, hand sanitizer and masks plentiful. Vice President Mike Pence and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden attended the Ground Zero service, where organizers decided for the first time not to have family members read the names of the fallen in order to maintain social distancing. Instead, playing a recording of victims' names.
Luis Alfonso Chimbo.
That decision spurred a charity group to hold a separate commemoration, with family members reading the names live, just steps away.
For the families, loved ones, and friends they left behind.
At the Pentagon, Secretary of Defense Mark Esper attended a wreath ceremony dedicated to the 184 who died there. A giant American flag covering the spot where the hijacked plane crashed into the building. And in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, President Trump joined the family members of those who died on United Flight 93 for a private memorial service.
To the family members of Flight 93, today every heartbeat in America is wedded to yours. Your pain and anguish is the shared grief of our whole nation.
Christine Burton Basmajan.
And late this afternoon, presidential candidate Joe Biden also visited Shanksville with his wife Jill, where the two laid a wreath at the memorial's Wall of Names. And tonight at sundown, just like they do every year on this day, 2 blue beams will light up the sky from Lower Manhattan. They'll remain on until sunrise.
Now to the numbers. Ohio confirms 1,240 new cases of the coronavirus today, more than the 21-day average. The state also reports 49 new deaths. That's more than double the 3-week average. Well, she held the job for just hours before Dr. Joan Duvey changed her mind and told Governor DeWine she was not coming home to run the Ohio Department of Health. A stunning turn of events the governor likely was not expecting. But the question tonight, why did this happen? Let's bring in senior health correspondent Monica Robbins for some perspective here. Hi, Monica.
Hey, Laura. In a statement to the State, a Columbia, South Carolina newspaper, Dr. Joan Duvey says the last 24 hours have been very difficult for her and for her family. She goes on to say, in part, quote, "I was informed that the former director's family had faced harassment from the public. While I have dedicated my life to improving public health, my first commitment is to my family. I am a public figure. My family is off limits." Dr. Duvey also stepped down from her position as the South Carolina Public Health Director. It's not an easy job anywhere. According to a study by Kaiser Health News and the Associated Press, as of last month, 49 state and local public health leaders have resigned, retired, or been fired since April across 23 states. Now, you'll all remember Dr. Amy Acton. She was the first woman appointed to run ODH, and while many credit her for saving thousands of lives, others vilified her for ruining the state's economy. Her decisions launched lawsuits from businesses. Her politics riled Republicans. Protesters, some of them armed, demonstrated outside her home, and the state legislature voted to limit her powers. She was also the target of anti-Semitic attacks for her faith and attacks on her gender. So whomever takes this job is going to face critics as long as this pandemic is raging, and the health and safety of the public may require government intervention. But for now, Laura, the search continues.
That's right. It'll be interesting to see what the governor says when he takes the podium once again on Tuesday. Monica, thank you.
Monday's heavy rain and storms brought another round of flooding to many areas of Northeast Ohio, and homeowners want to know why this keeps happening. Our consumer investigator, Danielle Serino, shares some answers and how homeowners can lessen the damage.
The waters raged across northeast Ohio Monday, as did the homeowners flooded by them, over and over again, even with sump pumps.
It's time to figure this out. It's costing the people of our city and the taxpayers tons of money every year. What's going on here?
The systems are aging, they crack, they leak. They leak in the public right away along the streets, but half of the sewer system's on private property too, and I don't think people understand that. That pipe that takes it from your toilet to the street sewer is a sewer, and they start to back up in the basement.
So why aren't cities fixing the problem? Friend and municipal attorney Joe Diemert says money.
You've got to dig up the road, dig up the sidewalk, dig up the tree lawns, take out the old sewers. Then you have to cover it all up, fill it in.
And he says it's the homeowners who'd have to pay because governments can assess their property to make improvements. Some municipalities have tried to Band-Aid the problem with watersheds at about a tenth of the price. But that doesn't always work. So over the past few years, more than 36 communities have partnered with the Northeast Ohio Sewer District to find solutions, and for some, share the price.
I think we've invested $30 million in grants to help communities offset their costs. And we're targeting things like alleviating basement flooding and dealing with sewer overflow issues and trying to get old infrastructure newer and better able to handle these rains.
In the meantime, they suggest homeowners install rain gardens or rain barrels, which can catch water from downspouts and get you a credit on your bill. But that requires a community effort for it to really work. So for now, some homeowners just tried to prepare.
You learn how to make sure that what you're putting downstairs is stuff that you have protected from where the water is, because water has no boundaries.
Danielle Serino, 3 News.
Coming up tonight, a pandemic plan.
How high school football players are dealing with coronavirus changes as we visit Ohio's 88 counties in 88 days. And Nick Camino is in for sports.
Coming up in sports, we are counting down the hours, the minutes, the seconds until the Browns season opener in Baltimore against the Ravens. And we finally know who's going to be calling the plays. Plus, it's week 3 of the high school football season. We'll have plenty more coming up for you in just a bit.
And it is a gorgeous evening for football across Northeast Ohio. Finally, the clouds are breaking up and we are getting to see some sunshine. That's going to lead us into a beautiful start to Saturday, but then we get rain chances in here. I've got the latest straight ahead.
What Matters Most is sponsored by Window Nation. Online at windownation.com.
Welcome back. It is Friday night, and that means high school football. This is a live look at Perry's Alumni Stadium in Lake County, where the Pirates are getting set to face off against the Riverside Beavers. It is our high school game of the week. Our coverage begins at 6:50 at WKYC.com, the WKYC app, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Wow, high school football. Brings back memories of sitting on the bench for me, Laura, but that's another story. Now to 88 counties. Tonight, we appropriately dive into Friday Night Lights and the way players, coaches, and fans are dealing with the pandemic.
We take you to Ashland County now, where they're just happy to be able to play high school football.
Real quick, let's get a break. Then we got Indy kick. Everybody up. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3, 3. Indy kick. Let's go.
It's kind of like mixed feelings, you know. You get a little bit nervous, a little bit excited.
Like 3 or 4 freshies. They challenge you guys.
I didn't think we'd have a season at all, but it's looking great right now, and we're just excited to get to play.
Our biggest hope and dream for this season is that we get to finish the season. Hey, if you guys aren't in, spread out. Don't touch anybody beside you. We know that at any minute they can pull the plug, but right now we're just kind of plugging away towards a full season, hopefully. How are we doing, Bart? Good. I like that look. I think our mentality, if anything, it kind of re-emphasized how thankful and grateful we are to be able to have a practice. We don't take those things for granted anymore. Most people know, public health people, you know, you have high school kids cooped up, usually not a lot of good choices, not a lot of great things happen. So it's definitely good to get them out here, and I think that probably played a role in the decision. Touch anybody, spread out, spread out, spread out.
We're definitely trying to stay safe, you know, 6 feet, all that stuff, so we can have a season and keep the season going. It's kind of going to feel weird not having everybody here.
it's good we can even have a few fans in the stands, because at first we didn't even know if we'd have that, but it's going to be broadcast and everything like that. I mean, I'm sure all of Ashland's going to be watching.
The high school football in Ohio is big to the community, to the families, and Ashland is just like other communities. It's a big thing for their kids and for the families. At least we can bring to those people, to those relatives, the opportunity at least to see the games live. So that's what we're in the process of working on right now, of trying to come up with live TV for the Ashland fans.
This film this year is going to be pretty important for kids trying to get out. It's that last push to really get a recruiter's eye, so it's really good that we're having a season.
Touchdown!
Film was pretty important for sure. I was real worried if we weren't going to have a season, how it was going to be even getting looked at by college.
To Ethan Hartley.
Yeah, I need film. I'm just not getting picked up out of nowhere. I need something to show what I can do.
This is complete to Tommy Carpenter.
Being able to perform in their senior season, that's really important. Those are memories that you don't want to lose, that never happened. And these kids will remember this forever, because they were the class with the quote, the virus.
And we want you to tell us your stories. Text your ideas to 614-460-3796. And we might just bring the RV to your community. Again, text 614-460-3796. It's so true, Russ. Football is big, and I can't wait to hear about your football career a little later. You are a man of many talents.
Oh, no. You know, I have a true story. When we would run out on the field before the game, one time I fell down, I got grass stains in my pants. I said, everybody's going to think I played today. So it was a good day.
Is this real?
I'm telling you the truth.
If it's coming from you, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
well,
and here's the deal. If the weather was nice like it was tonight, sitting on the bench wouldn't be so bad.
This is true.
Betsy, where were you all those years ago when I was
I was up in the stands in the band.
Ah.
That's where I was. I was a majorette. I know that shocks people. My fire baton twirling video is still on YouTube. Actually, it is. It's pretty bad. But anywho, it is going to be a stellar night tonight. We are finally getting these clouds to break up a bit. That's going to allow the temperatures to cool. It feels like early autumn right now, and it's going to be pretty comfortable all in all. Northeasterly breezes continue to pump in drier air to northeast Ohio. And of course, since we're clearing out, the temperatures are going to fall off. We're in the 60s throughout much of the area, the exceptions being Akron-Canton Airport, and then also over toward Youngstown. But the bigger difference is the dew points. Yesterday, we had dew points in the upper 60s, low 70s. That's ultra muggy. Now they're sitting in the low to mid 50s, still a little humid down toward Dover way, but certainly we're going to start to see things equal out a little bit. The best picture of all, though, is just the good old satellite picture. This is the visible satellite picture on the GOES 16 spacecraft, and that is showing you how things have been clearing out from northeast to southwest as that drier air pushes in. Still pretty good amount of cloud cover from Mansfield down to Millersburg and Dover, New Philadelphia. You're going to get some breaks here initially, but then more clouds start to come our way as this storm system finally starts to make a move. This is that upper level low that's been parked over the southwestern U.S. the last few days. It's finally going to start to push to the northeast, and this cold front will be dragging across the area tomorrow night into Sunday. So that brings rain chances into our picture. National Design-Mar hour-by-hour forecast shows that just as the low clouds erode, high clouds begin to move in. So as we start the day tomorrow, I think partly cloudy skies will be the rule. Temperatures upper 50s to right around 60 inland areas, but we're going to have a pretty nice breeze tomorrow. Then as the day goes on, you can see we do get more cloud cover, and yeah, in the afternoon we'll start to put in some scattered rain and thunderstorm chances. The chances get better as the afternoon and the evening go on. Then ultimately by tomorrow night, we're probably going to have a likelihood of periodic showers and storms that carries over into early Sunday. Then you can kind of see that line push through. By the time we get into Sunday afternoon, we'll get some clearing, and that of course would lead us into a gorgeous Monday in your Universal Windows Direct forecast. And it's going to be cooling off too. 80s tomorrow, 70s Sunday with clearing skies late day. Much more cool, or much cooler with much more comfortable conditions early next week. We'll be right back.
This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Serra Auto Park in Akron.
Great to have you back here in the Camino Cave here at WKYC Studios. I feel like we need a countdown clock for the Browns season opener coming up Sunday against the Ravens in Baltimore. All of us getting excited for football. You had the NFL returning last night here on WKYC. And finally, we know who's going to be calling the plays for the Browns. Yeah, this has been a big-time talking point. Everyone's been wondering who is going to call the plays. And yes, it will be this guy, Kevin Stefanski. He was asked about it all the time. He announced that he is going to call the plays, not offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. So the head coach who was the OC in Minnesota with the Vikings the last 2 years, he obviously has experience. He's done this before, but there's some people that say that's too much for a head coach to manage an entire game and call the plays. But the head coach says, listen, it's going to be a group effort.
You know, I haven't called 1,000 games, but I will tell you when I've called it, we're very collaborative. So we have a lot of people that have a hand in this, and I'm really lucky because I'm surrounded by a bunch of really good coaches on the offensive and defensive side. So feel good about our staff.
On the other side of the football, let's not forget Myles Garrett makes his return to the field on Sunday. Remember, he was suspended for the final 6 games of the regular season last year after that incident with the helmet and the Steelers, Mason Rudolph. But the Browns star defensive end says, listen, it's a fresh start for me, and I'm not worried about outside criticism.
Either they'll see eventually or they'll keep on hating. You know, that's just a part of life. If you're successful, you're going to have people who drag you or hate on you. But, you know, they'll recognize you for your game or what you do outside of it, or they just don't matter.
Okay, it's not time to panic about the Indians, but 3 straight losses to the lowly Kansas City Royals suddenly has them in 3rd place in the division. Not good. The offense has just been abysmal, so they're going to try something different tonight. Sandy Alomar going to go with Frankie Lindor in the leadoff spot. He's normally been the club's 3-hitter. So we'll see. Here's your pitching matchup tonight. Should be a good one as the Indians are in Minneapolis to open up a weekend series. Shane Bieber versus Kenta Maeda. That's an 8:10 first pitch. Already week 3 of the high school football season, and it is no surprise that Mike Elder's Avon Eagles are undefeated. They're at North Ridgeville tonight, had close wins against Olmsted Falls and Avon Lake. Caught up with Coach Elder this week. He's excited about their season, and he hopes to stay unbeaten tonight when they take on the Rangers of North Ridgeville. Russ, Laura, back to you.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. And we thank you for watching. Jay and Sarah in at 7 o'clock for Front Row.
The NBC Nightly News is just minutes away. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone.